On the coin problem, I want y'all to think, how can I use quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies to get to 87? I know that a quarter is worth 25 cents. I know that a dime is worth 10 cents. A nickel is worth 5 cents, and pennies are worth 1 cent. So how can I add these together to get 87? Well, maybe if I had 3 quarters, that would be 25, 50, 75. I'm trying to get to 87. So 75, maybe a dime would be 85. And then 2 pennies, 86, 87. That's one way I could do it. I could also say 2 quarters is 50 cents. 3 dimes would make it 80 cents. A nickel would be 85, and 2 pennies would be 87. So there's lots of different combinations. Subbing today. Mrs. Serta is subbing today. So there will be no reading group for Mrs. Serta today. About 2 more minutes for this. And while you're working, I'm going to take attendance. Betsy, Jade, good morning. Daniel, good morning. Byron, good morning. Brian, good morning. Good morning, Alani and Leilani. AJ, good morning. Amaris, good morning. Diego, good morning. Zoe, good morning. Good to see you. Brian, good morning. And Anthony, good morning. So it looks like from Miss McCullough's class, I'm missing Zanaya and George so far. Zanaya and George. Hopefully they'll pop on soon. If I didn't call your name, please let me know. That way I can get you marked for attendance. Alrighty. So we should be pretty much done with this page by now. If you're not quite done, that's okay. You'll have a little bit of time at the end to complete it. So let's click to page 6. This is where we're going to start working on fractions. This video also is going to be posted on YouTube later. I know that we've been having some internet issues today. So if you need a recap of it, or if you're not quite sure about something, you are more than welcome to watch the YouTube video later. Good morning, Eli. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, hello. It's good to see you. It's Friday, Friday, Friday. One of the best days of the week. We definitely say it's in the top 7 days of the week. All right, so we're going to study this example problem. Remember, we've been working this week on fractions. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about number lines, how number lines go up by equal increments. So sometimes it goes up by 1s, by 2s, by 5s, by 10s. We are going to be working on number lines that go up by 1s. So as we work through today's lesson, we're going to be looking at number lines between 0, 1, 2, and maybe even some bigger whole numbers. And you'll notice that there are marks between 0 and 1 and between 1 and 2 because fractions are in between numbers. They're between these whole numbers. They're just parts of the candy bar. So let's look at our example. It shows us a number line, kind of like the ones we were working on yesterday. And then it says that Peter says the fraction for point C is 3/4. So Peter thinks that this point C right here is 3/4. Steve said the fraction for point C is 7/4. Who is right? How did you decide? Who is wrong? What was the mistake? So I know with fractions, they go up by 1, just like we count on the number line. So when I look at this, this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm just counting the dashes on the number line. Now, between 0 and 1, remember how we talked about the candy bar yesterday? How we talked about I can turn this number line into a delicious chocolate bar and just trace those lines down like so. How many pieces is this candy bar broken up into? You can type it in the chat. You can show me on your fingers. You can come off of mute. What fraction is this candy bar broken up into? Is it broken up into 2 equal pieces, 3, 4, 5? What is it?
8.
So Daniel says 8. Diego, what do you think?
4.
Diego thinks 4. Well, let's look at those two options. So between 0 and 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. If I were to go between 0 and 2, then you're right, Daniel, there would be 8 pieces. But I need to just look at one candy bar. Over here, this one, that's going to be a whole nother candy bar that I have to break apart. So it's broken into 4 pieces. That means each of these lines represents a fourth. So this is 1/4. This is 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, and 8/4. So each of them are broken into 4 equal pieces. So I've got one whole chocolate bar here, and I'll highlight it blue so we can see a little bit better. So here's my first candy bar, right? Okay, here's my second candy bar. And then it looks like I've got part of a third candy bar. We've got part of a third one over here. So these are separate candy bars because this line represents 1. This line represents 2 whole candy bars. So look again at point C. Does it show 3/4 or 7/4? What do you guys think? 3 or 7? Which one is it? What number did we write above the 4? 3 or 7? You can type it in the chat or you can come off of mute. What do you think, Jade?
7.
Daniel says 7. Jade, do you agree? Yes, I would agree as well. Good job, Daniel. This is 7/4, which means that Steve is correct because we counted 7 marks on our number line. And each of these whole numbers, these whole candy bars, were broken into 4 equal pieces. So Peter saw that each of these are broken into 4. And so he just went 1, 2, 3/4. But he forgot to count the whole other candy bar he had before it. Today's lesson is going to be kind of tricky. So it's very, very important that you follow along with me the best you possibly can. So that way you understand everything we are doing together, because it's going to get a little tricky. All right. So let's look down here, and it shows us on our number line how they counted. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4. And this is where point C was. So Steve was right because he knows the denominator, the bottom number that tells me how many pieces it's broken into, is 4, because each of these was 1 whole candy bar. So we had 1 candy bar and this much more. Let's go to page 7. We're going to do a lot of this together today. And then I'm going to assign you a quiz that you are going to do after the lesson, just like yesterday. Or not, was it yesterday I sent it to you guys? I think it was yesterday. The one on lesson 14 of identifying fractions. So we're going to use this number line to answer these questions. Now, before I get to answering these questions, I want to first figure out what my number line means. Oh, you weren't done. This one's just an example, Leilani. So as long as you wrote some of this on there, you're good to go. All right. So here's where we're going to be doing work together. Let's look at this number line. It goes from 0 to 1 to 2. But there's marks in between, and that shows me that it has to do with fractions. Now, I'm going to draw my candy bar again. Do this with me. I'm drawing between 0 and 1. I'm going to highlight it one color. And then I'm going to draw a candy bar from 1 to 2. I'm going to highlight it a different color. Make sure you're doing this with me. This way I can see that there's 2 candy bars. There's 2 candy bars put next to each other. I did that one at the top. Oh, do you, Eli, do you mean the 14, right? The one from yesterday, the quiz? Yes. Yep, you did. Perfect. So I'll give you another one today that'll have to do with this lesson for your independent grade. I like to see that Alani and Leilani are on here. I can see that they're drawing those candy bars. It's perfect. Where did my mouse go? Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do just like I did the last time, right? I'm going to go through and I'm just going to number these. So I know that this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm numbering each of the lines. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice that I'm also numbering these whole numbers because they also have a dash on the number line. So it's important that they get a number too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you are writing this with me. Remember that this will be part of your grade, so make sure that you are doing your very, very best. Alrighty. So that's great that I've got these numbered, but I need a denominator. I need a bottom number because I need to know how many pieces make a whole candy bar. How many pieces make a whole candy bar here? If I make these lines bigger so they go all the way through the chocolate bar. How many pieces make one whole candy bar? Show me on your fingers. How many pieces make one whole candy bar? Show me on your fingers. Come on, wake up. How many make a whole candy bar? Think about this pink one is a candy bar. This green one's a candy bar. How many pieces are in the pink candy bar? Diego, you were close. That's in 2 candy bars.
3.
Good job, Eli. I've got 15 of us on Zoom. I should see 15 hands. Byron in the chat says 3. Alani shows 3. Jade shows 3. Good job. Yes, there's 1, 2, 3 pieces in this candy bar. 1, 2, 3 pieces in this candy bar, which means that this line is 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, because each candy bar is broken up into 3 equal pieces. Alrighty. How many equal parts are between 0 and 1? 1, 2, 3. There are 3 equal parts between 0 and 1. How many equal parts are between 1 and 2? Type it in the chat or show it on your fingers. How many equal parts are between 1 and 2? The green candy bar. How many equal pieces? Alani showed me 3. Who else? Byron says 3. Eli says 3. Good job. Yes, there are 3 equal pieces there as well. What fraction does each part show? So if these are my 2 candy bars and I gave a piece to Leilani and a piece to Eli and a piece to Daniel and a piece to Byron and a piece to Jade and a piece to Zoe, what size piece would they each get?
1.
1 what? Would they get 1 whole candy bar?
Piece.
What do you think, Eli?
1 piece.
It would be 1 piece, but what size is that piece?
Half of a.
Oh, you are so close. It's not half. Half is 2 equal pieces. What's it called when it's 3 equal pieces? Zoe?
Thirds.
Good job. Thirds. Yeah. So each part is 1/3. This is 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. That's a whole candy bar. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. That's my second candy bar. So they each show 1/3. You can either write this with the pencil tool, or to get this line, remember it's the button right next to your shift key that shares the question mark. Just do not press shift and you will get this fraction bar. 1/3. And then it says write fractions to label the marks, which we did at the very beginning. We showed 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. So I'll leave this up for another minute. And then we have another number line we're going to use to solve 9 through 11. So 9 through 11, I'm going to cut these into pieces so that you can see, or not pieces, but into candy bars. That way you can see each whole number. But I want you to figure out what these fractions are. Oops, let me do that a different color. So just like how I did on this other problem, I want you to show me that on this one. So it's not quite equal. So I want you to label them. This is 0, 1, and 2. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each mark gets their own number, but then you have to tell me how many equal pieces it is each whole broken up into. Go ahead and do this one on your own. So you don't have to tell me A, B, and C yet, but I do want you to figure this out here. 1 what? 2 what? 3 what? What is my bottom number? How many pieces is each candy bar broken into? Yes, Eli, absolutely. So make sure you guys draw these lines just like I did. That's going to help you see the pieces in each candy bar. This is part of what your teacher is grading today. Anthony, stay focused, please. When you're done, type done in the chat. Once you figured out all of these numbers, Oops. Then I want you to figure out what is A, B, and C. So here's point A, B, C. When you're done, type done in the chat. Olani, you are very close, but your numbers right here on A, B, and C are not correct. And then you need to tell me what is the bottom number. So when I look at this first candy bar, it's broken into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. That means this isn't 1, it's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So each of these are fourths because each of these candy bars is broken into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. My other candy bar is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So these aren't just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1/4, 2/4. So then I'd look at A. What fraction is A at? What fraction is B at? What fraction is C at? And then I'm writing those on the lines. Good job, Leilani. There you go. Sometimes the marker tool can be really bulky. I usually use the pencil tool for writing, or you can also use the text box and write 1/4 this way. That way you can make it bigger or smaller to fit wherever you want it to go. Yes, Anthony, go ahead. All right, so A is what number? What number is A at? What number does A represent? Leilani?
One, four,
Good job, 1/4, absolutely. What about B, Eli?
three-fourths.
Good job, it's on 3/4, absolutely. Very good. What about C? Where is C at?
Three-fourths.
B is at 3/4. What about C? Let's see, Brian. Brian, where is C at? Can be either of the Brians. I got 2 of them.
6.5.
Oh, you're so close. It's not half because it's 4 at the bottom. So it's
6.4.
6/4. Yes, there we go. We call it 6/4. Good job, Brian. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, look at this, you guys. Way to go, rock stars. 1/4, 3/4, 6/4. Improper fractions at their finest. All righty, number 12. Write the fraction 3/2 where it belongs on the number line. Well, here's a candy bar between 0 and 1. Here's another one between 1 and 2. Another one between 2 and 3. So I see I've got 3 separate candy bars here. And I've got these marks in between. It looks like they're in half, which would make this first mark 1/2. And then it would be here. I would count on, so it wouldn't be 1/2, it would be 2/2, which would make this next marker 3/2. The next marker would be 4/2. Oops. That's odd. The next marker would be 5/2, and then the last one would be 6/2. And I want you guys to circle where 3/2 falls on that number line. Circle the marker where 3/2 is. So I see a 0, 1/2, 2/2, 3/2. 3/2. How did we know where to put 3/2? What did I do? What did you guys see me do to find 3/2? What did I count? AJ, what did I count?
By halves.
I counted by halves, yeah, and I counted up by 1 each time, right? So how did we find where to put 3/2? We counted each line going up by 1/2 each time. So each line we went up by half, 1/2, 2/2, 3/2, 4/2, 5/2, 6/2. So each of the lines we counted up by halves. Good job, AJ.
Mrs. Mannering, is it okay if I go to the bathroom?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you. Yes, Alani, that's totally fine. Thank you for letting me know. When you guys are done, go ahead and click to page 8 and let me know in the chat. I don't want to move on too quickly. Go ahead and type done in the chat and click to page 8 when you are ready to move on. All right. So moving on to page 8. It says to solve the problem, use what we learned from the example. So it has 0, space, space 1, space, space 2. Jackie said that the fraction for point A is 5/6. Anne said the fraction for point A is 5/3. Who is right? And tell how you know. Show your work. So when I look at this, again, I'm going to make my candy bars from 0 to 1. That's 1 candy bar. From 1 to 2. That's another candy bar. Point A is this point right here. So if this is point A, what fraction does that represent? Remember, if this is 0, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But they have to be fractions because these are not whole candy bars. There's not 6 whole candy bars. There's 2. There are 6 pieces, Anthony. So I think how many pieces is the third this purple candy bar broken up into? How many pieces is the green candy bar broken up into? Your job is to write those numbers at the bottom of your fraction. For your written response, you need to say, who is correct because point A is at what fraction? Because each whole number is broken into what fraction? What is each whole number broken up into? So this is your prompt. Remember, this is graded. Please, please, please do your best. That's okay, George, no problem. I'm glad you're here. I'll get you for attendance. A lot of kiddos are having internet issues today too, so it is not a problem. This video, George, is going to be posted later on YouTube, so that way you can go back and watch it for the other parts of math that we did today, okay? All right, so on page 8, this is your job. You need to tell me what fraction does each of these points represent? Who is correct, Jackie or Anne? Jackie or Anne is correct because point A is at what fraction? Because each whole number is broken into what? Halves, thirds, fourths, fifths. How much here? Okay, so you must show this and you must show this. Okay, I know you're not done, Leilani. That's fine. I'm just leaving this up for you. So I'm going to give you guys about 4 more minutes for this problem. And then if you're not done after 4 minutes, you can draft it. Whenever you do finish this and all of these steps, press the green check mark if you've finished all of the other pages. If the entire activity is not completed, you must complete it today. You've had yesterday and today. So press draft when you are finished with this page if you have more work to do. Or if you are completed all of it, press the green check mark.